Shabbat Shalom. It's good to see all of your faces. Welcome. We'll give it a few more seconds for everyone to realize that they're here and to turn on their audio. And if you would like to turn on your camera, we would love to see you. It's really wonderful to be able to all be here together. It's my favorite thing to do, to just scroll through the Zoom screens and see you all. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's so wonderful to have you here this evening. We begin, as we begin each week, with a heart tap to acknowledge just the wondrousness and beautifulness of this community, to see all of our loving faces and joining here together to bring in Shabbat. As a reminder, I invite you to join together in gallery view whenever you would like, so you can see all of these wonderful faces. In a few moments, we're going to zoom into the sanctuary, see what's going on over there. You can also see there's lots of movement happening. So you know the sanctuary might look a little bit different as part of the temple's re-entry committee and reopening. The protocols have been put in place where people who are fully vaccinated do not have to wear a mask inside or outside of our building. So those who would like to wear a mask may continue to wear a mask, but just in case you see some faces who are unmasked, it means that they are fully vaccinated and able to be unmasked in our sanctuary, which is another step in reopening our community. So let us join together in a few nigunim for Shabbat. I invite our high school intern, Zach Gondelman, to join us and to begin our Shabbat service together with some music and some singing. Let's join together.
Thank you so much, Student Rabbi Lesner. Just a simple yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai.
Thank you so much, Zach. Let us join now together with our friends in the sanctuary as we begin our Shabbat service officially with the lighting of our Shabbat candles.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is great to be together as one community, whether we are here in this space in the sanctuary or on Zoom. Let us take a deep breath. Breathe out the stress of the past week and breathe in the shalom, the sense of peace and wholeness that we will bring into our lives in this day ahead. We greet Shabbat by lighting our Shabbat candles, and we are honored to ask Pam and Rich Remus to light our candles as they're celebrating a simcha in their lives this summer. With a wedding coming up, we'll hear a little bit more about Kimmy and Joey, our bride and groom, a little bit later in services. But if you would be so kind to light our Shabbat candles, and I will invite everyone to turn to page 120 in our prayer books, or to light your Shabbat candles with us at home. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvot mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you, and Mazel Tov. So we will continue on page 142 as we greet Shabbat with Shalom Aleichem. And I will say, this is the first time that Cantor Shana and I are leading next to one another, let alone from outside of the plexiglass.
They let me out of the box, Rabbi.
Which is extraordinary. At Shabbat, we're supposed to feel the extra special presence of something special that is with us. Our tradition teaches us that it is the acquiring of an extra soul. But we are also greeted by extra angels that visit us on Shabbat. And it is this prayer, Shalom Aleichem, that helps us welcome those extra angels. And I will say the extra presence that literally surrounds us tonight as well. So let's enjoy that.
Together on page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Bimelech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We receive Shabbat as a Shabbat presence, as I mentioned, page 138, the words of Lecha Dodi.
Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'miyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemu tiferet v'litehila, lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela, lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela, likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor ha'veracha, merosh mikedem, nesucha sof ma'aseh, v'machshava tchila, lecha Dodi, likrat kala, צוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה יללי יללי
We invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we welcome the Shabbat bride.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמונה עם סגולה בואי כלה בואי כלה הולך דודי לקראת כלה ופני שבת נקבלה הולך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה פני שבת נקבלה.
So let's be seated, plant our feet firmly on the floor as we are grounded and centered for these unifying words of the Shema, page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai
I am excited that this evening we will be led by our bat mitzvah this Shabbat. Eli Pahlavi will become bat mitzvah tomorrow and will lead us in the words of the Ve'ahavta, page 154. So let's join together with Eli.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום הלבביך ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ושוכבך וקומך ושרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
And Ellie, it makes me emotional to hear the entire sound of the community with you as you pray and lead. So thank you for leading us so beautifully. You can head back to your family after you put your mask on, and we'll continue with the beautiful words of the Hashkivenu. Mazel tov, Ellie.
We hope you'll join us, whether it's with your voice, perhaps with a familiar hand motion, or just in spirit. See if we can fill this room with love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Lishalom. V'ha'amidenu, Shomreinu L'chaim. Ufros aleinu, Sukat Shlomecha. Hashkivenu,
Hashkivenu
Adonai Eloheinu.
Eloheinu
Hashkivenu,
Lishalom.
let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Thank you, Asher and Lev. So let us turn to the words of the Amidah, which means standing. So I will invite you to elevate yourselves to stand in body or in spirit as we turn to page 164. If you are on Zoom with us, the chat will be open for you to express your gratitudes and your joys from the previous week. If you are standing in this room with us, we invite you to pour forth from your soul and your mouth the joys of your week as well.
Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi, Tehilatecha, Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi, Tehilatecha, open up our lips.
We take a moment for our own private prayers and meditations. When you're finished, you may be seated.
We ask that the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all of Israel, and for all those who dwell on this earth. We're on page 180. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
We turn our thoughts from peace and wholeness in the world to peace and wholeness and comfort to those who are in need of healing, whether it is a healing of the body, of the spirit, or of the mind. If you are with us on Zoom, we invite you to place the name of a loved one in our chat box. If you're here in person, we ask you to rise and share the name of the loved one you are thinking of out loud with us. We think of also the families who are affected by the tragedy in Miami Beach, as well as we continue to search for lives. So let us turn page 371 for the words of healing of the Mishaberach.
Mishaberach avotenu Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu, mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We take time this evening to say a Shehechianu, to recognize the God-given moments that exist within our lives and moments of gratitude that we can share just for allowing us to reach this moment. So let's see what we've got. Are there any birthdays? Any birthdays any of you have experienced this week? I'm going, Lord, I see you. Happy birthday. I also want to give a happy birthday to Jeff Zupin, who has turned 80. Turned 80 this week. Mazel tov to you. How about any anniversaries? Any anniversaries? Anybody celebrating love? Susan Bloom, I see you. Mazel tov, mazel tov. Wonderful. We also want to recognize Cantor Zell and her husband Josh just celebrated their first anniversary and just came back from Hawaii. So there's there's lots of extra life there. Mazel tov to them. What else? What else? Do we have any other moments? Anybody see anything new for the first time this week? Maybe some sun, maybe some new family as things are opening up. I want to recognize Gary Glick, who is in good health, and recognize each and every one of you for being here and for all the moments that we've said out loud and for all the moments that are in your heart. Let us join together with our cantor in the sanctuary as we say a collective Shehechianu together.
Celebrate their 59th this week as well. So we are going to join together with these moments of blessing and simcha, birthdays, anniversaries. You may have thought of a few other milestones as well. Cantor Zell.
We have a very special Shehechianu moment tonight. It is with great joy that I would like to invite Kimmy Remus and Joey Mowry up here to join me at the Bima. We are so lucky to have you in person with us tonight to celebrate your upcoming wedding, which we know will take place in early August, not too far from here. So come on forward, and I'm actually going to have you face me. You're going to face me and the Torah. We're going to kind of bring the ark down here. So I'm going to place you the way that you're going to be standing, which is actually the opposite way. So this is a really great practice for August. So we want you to stand here before our Torah, before our community, before this movable ark, the way that you're going to stand under the chuppah in just a few short weeks. And what's such a joy is that we get to celebrate here tonight with our TBE community, and Kimmy with your family, Joey, your extended family. We've had the joy of celebrating many smachot, joyful occasions, and life cycle moments with your family, and we're just so happy to be able to do this together in person as a community. And so before the Torah, before our community, I'd like to offer you this special blessing. Makor HaChaim, source of life, we ask your blessing for Kimmy and for Joey. We pray that the sacred commitments of their wedding day will sustain them all the days of their lives. May the love that binds them be lasting, and let their hearts be filled with patience and understanding. May their home be a mikdash me'at, a sanctuary built on devotion to God, to Torah, and to Israel. May they be blessed with health and courage as their love and friendship deepens through the years. We pray that they will enjoy good fortune and find wholeness and peace together. And may this entire community join me with a hearty Amen. So we wish that your marriage be a sign of goodness for all that is to come in our world. I'm going to ask you to now come over this way just because the candles are still burning. We're going to shower you with a little sweetness, and we're going to sing. We're going to sing a little bit. Simon tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov v'simon tov, Simon tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov v'simon tov, Simon tov u'mazel tov, mazel tov v'simon tov yehi lanu. Simon tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov v'simon tov, Simon tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov v'simon tov, Simon tov u'mazel tov, mazel tov v'simon tov yehi lanu. So we will celebrate more in the weeks to come, but for this special moment and for birthdays and anniversaries and all of the good things that we're celebrating, let's join together with these words. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Big amen.
Thank you. Mazel tov, Kimmy and Joey, to all of you celebrating milestones. It's great to be able to share our joy. A few words of Torah tonight. And again, it feels so good to just be able to stand right here before you to deliver these words of Torah. So I have to ask if you can remember when we used to stay at a hotel. It's been quite a while for me, actually. And when we would dial the front desk to ask for a wake-up call. Anyone? Something you used to do? Yeah. So even though we have watches and cell phones, and there's usually an alarm clock right next to the bed, we would still rely on the wake-up call to make sure that we would get out of bed. We trusted and needed something else to be responsible for starting our day. And I will note that even though I used to make the choice to schedule those wake-up calls, I would still curse them for waking me up so loudly and so abruptly. Yes, we need those expected wake-up calls. But I realized something interesting when reading this week's Torah portion, Balak. Sometimes the most transformational wake-up calls are actually from the sources that we least expect. We can't always call downstairs or upstairs to order these wake-up calls. In the parasha that we read this week, a non-Israelite sorcerer or a prophet named Balaam is tasked by Balak, the king of Moab, to curse the Israelite people. However, as we read this week in Numbers chapter 22, verse 12, God says to Balaam, "Do not go with King Balak. You must not curse that people, for they are blessed. Giving in to his greed and accepting the gold and the silver that King Balak offers him, Balaam heads to the place where he is supposed to curse the children of Israel. Yet, Balaam is stalled. You might say he gets stuck in a jam on the road. For the donkey that he is riding refuses to follow his orders. The donkey catches sight of an angel of God standing in the road with a sword pointed at him. So the donkey swerves off the road. Balaam, so angry, beats the donkey to turn it back. So the angel of God places itself against a wall on the road, so the donkey cannot simply swerve around it. And this is when the donkey simply stalls out, lies itself on the road, and refuses to move. And unfortunately, Balaam beats the donkey again. As if this isn't unexpected enough, this time the stubborn mule talks back to Balaam, saying, "What have I done that you should beat me?" And Balaam replies, saying, "You've made a mockery out of me. If I had a sword, I would kill you." The donkey says, "Look, aren't I the one that you've been riding all this time? Is this usually my habit?" It is then that God uncovers Balaam's eyes, and Balaam finally sees this angel of God that the donkey has seen all along. And the angel of God tells Balaam that it is he, the angel, who is annoyed by this errand that he had to make. That if the donkey would not have prevented Balaam from going on his way, it is Balaam that the angel would have killed. The angel gives Balaam permission to go along his way only as long as Balaam will speak the words that the angel instructs him. And so Balaam goes along with King Balak to the top of the mountain, overlooking the Israelite people. But when Balaam opens his mouth to curse the Israelite people 3 times, 3 times, only words of blessing come out. The third blessing we know as the famous words, "Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov," how beautiful are your tents, O Jacob. Sometimes God speaks to us in the funniest ways. Sometimes our wake-up calls and the most important lessons come when we least expect it. Yes, I do believe this story is meant to be written as a comedy. A talking donkey, for crying out loud. That is what prevents an enemy king and a sorcerer from being able to curse the Israelite people. Rashi, a famous commentator, picks up on an important question in the text, noticing the irony and the comedy of the portion. Why couldn't the angel just have given Balaam a direct message? Why did this donkey have to be involved? And Rashi's answer is deeply spiritual. He says that animals can see things that are blocked from the human eye, because human intelligence would cause people to live in constant fear if they could perceive everything around them. According to Rashi, Balaam wouldn't have been able to receive this message any other way than from a talking donkey. To put it another way, Balaam only could have heard this spiritual message if God sent it in this funny way. We must be open to learning from unexpected moments, from unexpected voices. Perhaps God knows that there is only a silly way sometimes that the message will actually come across. You see, God speaks to us in funny ways sometimes. I vividly remember a Passover celebration year after year in my childhood home. It was always a time that I felt proud and, yes, I have to say, privileged. My parents cleaned out our beautiful home that was big enough to fit 30 guests. We had a large meal, special treats, and beautiful decorations. It wasn't lost on me that our guests' cars lined the street for blocks in either direction, and our neighbors in this working-class inner-city neighborhood were probably a little perplexed. When we would open the door for Elijah each year, the door would open to a busy, noisy, bustling street. So we would usually immediately close the door and resume our celebration that was reserved for those on the inside. I don't think the words, "Let all who are hungry come and eat," really sunk in or occurred to me in a meaningful way until one year when something unexpected happened. With the Seder coming to a close, our house was full, everyone's attention towards the door as we sang Eliyahu Hanavi. We opened the door for Elijah, and in walked a complete stranger. And a few things were clear. One, he hadn't been invited. Two, I'm sorry to say that as a kid, I probably would have commented on his dirty clothing and that he needed a bath. And three, one of his hands was actually hiding in his pocket, holding something. It appeared that he was holding in his pocket. And many of us panicked. We assumed that he had come to harm us. Maybe he even had a weapon in his pocket. Then one of our family friends just pushed his chair away from the table, walked up to the man, stuck out his hand, and introduced himself. And the man was so interested and delighted that he took his hand out of his pocket, safely, I might add, to shake our friend's hand and introduce himself by name as well. Well, our friend chatted with him for a moment and gave the man a little tzedakah that was in his pocket, offered him something to eat from our table, and the man went on his way. Let all who are hungry come and eat. That powerful message of justice had to come from this unexpected messenger. It was an unscheduled wake-up call. Oh, Rachel, these biases, these preconceived notions, these stereotypes that you have been harboring. I can say from then on, the wisdom of our tradition at Passover had a new and different and much more meaningful place in my heart. God speaks to us in funny ways. I think it is easy for us to listen when we schedule the wake-up call, or easy for us to learn from people and places we already know and trust. But it is much harder to be open to transformation from an unexpected place or from a position that is different than our own. I don't think God only has things to tell us that we already know. Perhaps we are more like Balaam than we would like to believe. But with God's help, I pray, and the reminder from our community that encourages us to listen to voices other than our own, I pray that we may continue to wake up and hear the call that might come to us from an unlikely source. And certainly, this portion teaches us that it helps us to laugh at ourselves along the way sometimes too. Life is funny, and God does speak to us in funny ways. Shabbat Shalom.
It's alright, it's alright, it's alright. God speaks in mysterious ways. Oh, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Lifts my days, light up my nights. Oh, ma tovu, oh halecha, Yaakov. Mishkenotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ma tovu, ma tovu, ma tovu, ma tovu, ma tovu. It's alright, it's alright, it's alright. God speaks in mysterious ways. Oh, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Lifts my days and light up my nights. Oh, ma tovu, ma tovu, ma tovu, ma tovu.
Thank you, Rabbi Sapphire and Cantor Zell, for wonderful words of Torah this evening. We'll transition to the conclusion of our service now with Kaddish Yatom. We recognize those in our community who are mourning and those in our community who are no longer with us. This evening we mark Shloshim for the following people: Larry Bischoff, Claire Cohen, Marjorie Frischberg, Barry Glick, Herbert Goldenberg, and Mirna Hammerling. And we also join together to acknowledge the Yartzites, a year's passing since Lillian Parker, Betty Solomon, and Moses Solomon. In a moment, we'll put up the words of Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, up. I invite you, if you are in mourning this evening, to put the names of those you are thinking of in our chat box so we can recognize them together. As we take a moment to acknowledge the names within our chat box, and all the names said out loud, and all the names of those in the heart's close places, and for all those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them, we'll say these words on the screen together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'mei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Hu ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Hu ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Zichronam levracha, may their memories be a blessing. We say amen. Before we conclude, there are just a few announcements to make. There's always lots going on at TVE. You can feel free to look at our website or get our e-blast. If you don't have the e-blast, shoot me an email. I will make sure that you are on it. Tomorrow morning, we will join back together at 10 o'clock a.m. for Minyan, taught by yours truly. You won't want to miss it. On Saturday evening, we mark Pride Havdalah, the last Pride Havdalah that we will be doing to mark Pride Month. We will join together outside of the sanctuary with Rabbi Sapphire and our student intern Zach Gondelman. More information can be found on our website. This week we have Music Club with Cantor Zell, we've got Book Club, and of course we have our Summer Institute of Learning. We've had such a wonderful few weeks of learning all together. If you'd like to join any of these teachings, you are more than welcome to join at any time. There are trips going on to Israel. If you want to hear more information, please contact Rabbi Sissenwein. It's happening. We're going in October. He's leading a trip. It's amazing, and I feel very lucky that the world is opening so much that we can go and travel again. It'll be a wonderful trip. I've heard all about it. You won't want to miss it. So those are all of our announcements this evening. Let's conclude together with some sweetness. So we'll do some kiddush. If you have a glass that gives full permission and consent, that we can pin you so that we know. And Zach, you've got a kiddush cup too, which is perfect.
I do.
Amazing. If you would like to lead us in kiddush, that would be most welcome.
Thank you so much, Student Rabbi Lesner. I hope you'll join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim, ki uvanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashavat.
L'chaim, and taste that sweetness so we can bring Shabbat in with a little bit of sweetness and joy. All right, let's join together for Hamotzi. Got a big, and there it is. Thank you, the Navisky family, for some bread. Let's make a bracha over some challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Now you have to rip the challah. You have to take a bite, fulfill the mitzvah of eating the sweet bread. We can't go until you do it. B'tei avon. Wonderful. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We'll unmute so we can say Shabbat Shalom to each other. Wishing you all well.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
Calm down.
Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos.
Shabbat
Shabbat
That's lovely. Lovely.
Gosh, than that.
Lovely.
Oh,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Tati.
Shabbat Shalom, Mama.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Come on.
Later.
I don't see my cousins here at all.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Football.